At 7:58 a couple days ago, the Vatican announced that Pope Francis had actually passed away. And to be honest, despite his age, the news actually came as a genuine shock to most people. And I know, he's been through some health complications in the last while, even spent a month in the hospital not too long ago, but the general consensus of the public was that he was gonna pull through and last at least a couple more years. He was discharged from the hospital and then went on to do a huge Easter Sunday celebration, blessing countless people. And things actually seemed like they were stabilizing for Pope Francis. And then just hours after his Easter Monday ceremony, he passed away. Pause on that. It's so surreal. Some might even say that's extremely symbolic. The next morning following his death, 88 bells rang through the Vatican City, one symbolizing each year of his 88 years on this planet. And across the world, people are mourning, not just the 1.4 billion Catholics and Christians, but so many more than that he impacted throughout his life. Pope wasn't just a public figure, but a global presence. You could say a statement in his own right. He was the first pope to attend the G7 summit, which was to warn the world not to spiral too far into their journey in developing AI technologies. Pope Francis broke the mold in an incredible amount of ways. First off, he was the first Latin American pope in history, as well as he was the first non-European pope that the Vatican's had in centuries. And maybe it was because he wasn't from around there, but he didn't play by the normal Pope script. First off, he declined the papal palace. He called for the annihilation of nuclear weapons, as well as he wanted to abolish the death penalty, which overall he was fairly successful at having a playing part in. He condemned anti-LGBTQ laws, as well as he started placing women in high roles in the church. It may seem like little movements, but at the time, they were literally groundbreaking. And now for the first time in almost a decade, the Catholic Church stands without a living pope, and that has put a centuries-old process into roaring action. What happens next is honestly super fascinating. From the unique details of Pope Francis's funeral to the crazy ordeal that it is to choose a new pope, it's all steeped in tradition, symbolism, and honestly, some pretty jaw-dropping history. So that's what we're getting into in today's video. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel, and let's dive into it. The Pope wasn't just a religious figure. He held the single biggest denomination in the world, 1.4 billion people strong. That wasn't just a congregation. That was an entire nation of people looking to one man for spiritual guidance and, most importantly, hope. He was the 267th Pope that traced back in an unbroken line that, wait for it, goes back to St. Peter. That's 1,995 years of unbroken tradition. Think about that. That's crazy. Nearly 2 millennia. Whether you're religious or not, that kind of historical continuity is just objectively mind-blowing and almost non-existent. Now, in the next coming weeks, the Vatican has to elect a new pope, which to, like I said, 1.4 billion people, but objectively more than that, it's going to be an intense and emotionally draining time. So to help to guide the Catholics through the traditions of electing a new pope, there is a 400-page book that they have to follow to a T. This book specifically written to cover what happens and what the people of the church must do when the pope dies. And we're not just talking about broad strokes here. This book goes deep. It includes instructions for a specific person to call the Pope's name 3 times near his dead body to see if he replies. And if he doesn't respond after all 3 calls, then the Vatican officially announces him dead. Like I said, they have to follow tradition. And sure, things like medical advancements have happened in the last couple thousands of years, but this is the Vatican, and tradition cannot be edited in their context. They have to follow the book exactly how it's written. Okay, yeah, it's recording. God damn, I thought it wasn't recording. Holy shit. So I say tradition can't be edited, but that's unless you're Pope Francis. Because true to form, he actually did rewrite the 400-page rule book. You see, because Pope Francis thought that the rule book made what should have been the burial of a servant of God out to be more like commemorating a person of royalty. And that didn't sit right with him. He even said he wanted to be remembered as a servant of God, not a powerful public figure. So he simplified the process. One major change, how he was buried. Instead of the traditional 3 coffins nested one within the other, cypress, copper, and oak, I hope I'm getting that right, he instead opted for a much more humble double-nested coffin, first in zinc, then placed in common wood. And a second change he made is that instead of being buried in the regular place that all popes get buried, the Vatican, he wanted to be buried in the Basilica of St. Mary Major. And one of the more symbolic things that'll happen at his burial is the burning of the fisherman's ring. Not just to prevent forgery, but to mark the official end of his papacy. I think it's papacy, right? It's when a pope reigns over for a while, it's a papacy. Where's my Jubilee fact checker when I need it? Okay, I think I was close enough. Now, here's where things get really intense in a way that only the Vatican could actually pull off. High-ranking Catholic officials from all around the world, known as cardinals, will soon be making their way to Rome. And it's not for a reunion dinner either. They're gathering for what's known as the conclave, a word that literally means, in Latin, with a key. And the reason it's called that is because literally they used to be locked in a room, not being let out until they made a decision. Being locked in until they make a decision is a tradition that they have been holding for 3 decades because one time, while electing a pope, they couldn't come to a decision for literally 3 years. Literally 3 years. During those 3 years, the people got so fed up that they actually locked them in the room and said, "You're not coming out of here till you choose a new pope." And they actually ripped the roof off of the building too. Fast forward to today, and that tradition of seclusion is still alive and well, but minus the roof. They're still locked in. During the conclave, all cardinals are locked off in the Sistine Chapel. No internet, no phones, no news, pure isolation until they come to a decision. The idea is that the decision should come via prayer, isolation, and pure discussion, as well as, obviously, their religion. Roughly 120 cardinals will be locked off in that room, and it's a pretty old school tradition. They're going to be given paper ballots, writing the name of their chosen candidate on that piece of paper, and then placing it in a chalice in the center of the room. And if all of those votes don't culminate to a 2/3 majority, all of the paper is going to be put in a chimney, burnt, and the smoke coming out of the Sistine Chapel will burn black, notifying the public that the decision hasn't been made yet, but a vote has been. And if the smoke burns white, that means to the world that a new pope has been chosen. And I'm not kidding when I say the world is waiting. News agencies will literally have their cameras pointed at that chimney as they have in the past, waiting for that smoke puff to know that a pope has been chosen. And you can expect that after we see the white smoke coming out of the chimney on the news, 30 to 60 minutes later, a pope will come out on the balcony of the St. Peter's Basilica and let the world know that a new era has begun. And in case you're wondering, yeah, this matters quite a bit if you're religious or not. 1.4 billion Catholics will be looking at this pope as their new leader. And with the Christians, that equals 2.4 billion people. Like it or not, the Pope holds enormous respect and authority in this world. And not just for religion, but he is a global voice that speaks on climate change, AI, and a lot of other controversial topics that a lot of people don't know how to make their mind up. People who have rights to vote in this world, and people who will follow this person for what to vote for. So yeah, it matters. Whether you're religious or not, there's something rather profound about watching a 2,000-year-old tradition take place again. And going back to Pope Francis for a second, he wasn't just a religious leader, but he was a symbol of hope. He was a symbol for the progression of mankind and where we can find ourselves when we just have a little heart in our soul. Soul in our heart? Same thing. And while the church prepares for what's coming next, the rest of the world gets to watch what unfolds next. Smoke signals and all. So yeah, the next few weeks, they're gonna be huge. And like always, I'll keep you updated right here. If you haven't liked the video, I hope I've earned your subscription, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.